Hey, what's up? I'm a seasoned Slovakian politics expert, so I'm happy to pitch in here. Right.
There I go. Okay, can you hear me now? Well, that's annoying. Can everyone hear me now? Okay, so sorry for this. Starting all over again. And tell me if it's a good sound. Hey, Chandler.
I'm here. I'm the resident foreigner, Slovakian foreigner. I'm
Uh,
here.
Also, yeah, I could hear you before, but I realized people could hear you, but not me. I screwed up the setting.
Oh, whoops.
Okay,
Hi, everyone.
starting all over again. Uh, Chandler is here with me. Hi, Chandler.
Hey.
So I was talking about I haven't said anything important yet, just the way we are gonna do this. So we're gonna talk about the reason why we have early elections, and we'll also talk about the parties running, and then we'll discuss even some exit polls if we get them about the possible governments. We also have the polls before the moratorium started. Moratorium means no one can publish any polls, and even officials cannot officially endorse any parties. So technically, I'm not even supposed to say who I would vote for, although I have already voted. So yeah, I think we can start unless you have something to say, Chandler, that you think I haven't covered
I
yet.
think I'm ready. So these are parliamentary elections.
Yes. So
I
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, can you just explain to me, a really dumb person, like this is for? Are they just filling certain spaces?
No.
Because there's
So
a lot of slots, right? Okay, go ahead.
in Slovakia, every 4 years, although we have early elections, I'll explain why. Every 4 seats, there's supposed to be an election. You elect all the 150 seats for the government, for the legislature body. Difference between, let's say, Slovakia and US or the UK is we have just one parliament. In USA, you have the Senate and Congress. In UK, I believe you have I think you have like I don't know what they have that, but I believe they also have like two legislative bodies. In Slovakia, you just have one. Uh, Also, Slovakia is a parliamentary system, so uh, difference. I believe in America, the head of government is president. He is the part of the executive. He's the main executive branch. While in Slovakia, the main part of the executive branch is the prime minister, who is usually the winner of the parliamentary elections. There are exceptions. We can talk about them. And yeah, basically, uh, we have election and we have a lot of parties, so you always have a coalition. Basically, to form a government, you need at least 76 seats. We see on a picture here, we see how the parliament looks like. And yeah, basically, you need at least 76 seats to win, to basically be able to form a government. Another important number there is 90, which gives you constitutional. Oh, I'm trying to translate it. it. Basically, to amend a constitution, you need 90 votes instead of just simple majority, which is 76. So that's oftentimes it's important, and it actually was important in the last election. So let's talk about a little bit about that. Let me see if I can pull up how the parliament looked like in 2020. Uh, it's gonna be loading for a second. But we had big elections in 2020. I'll try to not talk about the specific parties yet, since you don't have a context, so I'll just talk generally. But 2020 election was very important because there was a one, yes, with 90 seats you can change the constitution, or you can change something in a constitution. To change the whole constitution, I'm not sure what you would even have to do. But yeah, basically to change like a constitutional law, you would need 90, I think 91 seats technically, since it's 3/5 plus one, the way it's 75 plus one. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, why is this not loading for me?
Is that likely to ever happen? You said there's so many different parties having
Uh,
90 seats.
so it happened. Let's see if I can pull up how it looked last time. Uh, so Slovak Parliament. It did happen last time, so we can talk
Hmm.
about it. Slovak Parliament 2020. Uh, and let me pull up how it looked. Yeah, so this is, you can now see on the screen how it looked like last time. And so the reason for why they actually got 90 seats back then is one party, and okay, we'll talk about it later, but just to mention them, ordinary people were running a big platform on anti-corruption. Basically, you had 8 years of one party called Direction Social Democracy. Now they're called Direction Slovak Social Democracy, who were in charge for 8 years, and during their term, they had a lot of corruption issues. The really big problem was also that during that time, Slovakia lost a great journalist called Jan Kuciak, and he and his fiance were murdered. And there's a documentary about it called Killing a Journalist, and it's very suspected that this party had their toes in it. The guy who orchestrated those murders he wasn't put in jail, but he was later put in jail for the corruption issues. So it was
Wow.
a huge deal. The party has lost a lot of their influence because of it, and that's why these ordinary people were able to get a lot of votes just for their parties, but even parties they formed the government with were able to get the at least 91 seats, so they could make amends to the constitution, which was very necessary because Slovak justice system is very flawed. Basically, there are not enough checks and balances. So if you get enough, basically, if you win the parliamentary elections, you can do a lot of stuff. Uh, One thing that's even that people are even worried right now is that if one party wins elections, people are worried that they might want to even change the way we do elections to basically make it better for themselves. We saw the similar thing with Viktor Orban in Hungary when he changed the way I think like election districts work, basically gerrymandered so that his party would always have an advantage. And people are worried about it also here because elections in Slovakia are not in constitution, they are just law, so you can change them with simple majority. So that's why it's a big problem right now. So yeah, this last government in 2020, they did form it was okay. Let's not talk about the specific parties yet, but they did form it mainly on anti-corruption. But the problem was it was a really broad coalition of many opposing views, and also the prime minister wasn't very good at negotiating with other parties. So in 2022, he resigned as a prime minister. He was replaced. Uh, I can't remember exactly why that specifically was the reason. But one thing that happened, for example, is that the prime minister, this was during the COVID era, he bought 2 million Sputnik vaccines. They're the COVID vaccines that Russia developed without talking to anyone. So he just did it. He didn't consult anyone. He just brought it here. They were not only a couple thousands were used because there was a campaign against him, both in media and it's a Russian vaccine. Not many people wanted to take it. So I think they took it back, but it was a huge scandal, mostly because he didn't really consult anyone. He just did it. So he was forced to resign as a prime minister. He became a minister of finance, uh, but he was forced to resign even from that later on because of more scandals. I have not been Sputnik. Someone is asking in the chat. I got my American, although I'm not sure. I'm not sure which. I think I got AstraZeneca. I'm not sure if that's American or UK or German. Um, but yeah, so in 2022 he was replaced by another prime minister, but then later on, even that was a problem. So basically, the government collapsed. The president of Slovakia tried to establish, I'm not sure how you exactly call it, like a technocratic government, basically a government just to be there and do the basic functions until we can have elections. Uh, but even that didn't get the vote of confidence. Basically, if you want to form a government, you need 75 people in the parliament to vote for it. So that's why you need a simple majority to basically get government approved. And they didn't approve this kind of technocratic government, so early elections had to be called, and the early elections are happening today. So that's kind of how we got here. Chandler, what do you think? Do you think I missed something that you are not understanding?
I didn't catch you miss a single thing. I think I know you're going to talk about the parties, but I'm just happy to see that the We Are Family party got 237,000 votes. That's a nice message for the kids. So that's probably my favorite party, but that's all I know about them is their names at this point. So I expect to learn more today.
But you wouldn't say people should vote for it, right? Because we have a
Well,
moratorium.
that's right. No, yeah, right. I wouldn't, yeah, I was just kind of thinking about the title of the name, but yeah, we don't endorse anyone here on the Damn Dan election results stream.
Um,
Um,
okay, so I
as a
think, yep,
foreigner, I frankly don't have any opinion one way or the other, and I just love the democratic process.
all right. So as you can see also on this page, we have a lot of people running. If I pull up, uh, let's see, Slovak.
That was also in 2020, 22, so or
Yeah,
whenever it was. So
so
that has nothing to do with
it
this
changed a
election.
little bit, but yeah. So we have 25 parties running. We are not gonna go through all of them, but we will have to do about half of them because at least half of them are actually relevant. Uh, so I was thinking about the best way to go through them, and I think we should go by the percentages they are expected to get at least in the latest polls. So this is the one by the agency ACO, and it was published on 27th, and it was based on the 1,000 respondents from the September 20th to September 26th. So at least here we can see We Are Family, the Chandler likes, is expected to get into parliament so far.
Oh, good. I mean, not that I endorse them or anything, and this is just a neutral examination, though.
But let's start
But
with the
I
yeah.
like those collection of letters that form the name of that party, regardless. I don't know anything about their politics.
Yeah, so I'll try to have some way of referring easily to them because some have really long names. But let's start with the
They
easy
call
one.
the WAF,
What?
like WAF, the WAF. It's kind of like WAP, like the hip hop song, but for the We Are
WWW.
Family Party, I
Oh,
think they call them WAF.
no. But if you're watching the stream, look, you can see like number 18, number 20,
Oh, I see
number
that. Yeah.
7. Oh, they actually had made this one shorter. But let's talk about them. Let's start with Progressive Slovakia. So I'm just gonna pull up probably just pictures of them just so we have something to look at. But yeah, uh, they are
Oh
running.
yeah, I can tell. That's a progressive Slovakia. Once you brought up the image, I could tell. Sorry,
Yeah,
continue.
so it's Progressive Slovakia. They were running in 2020, but back then they were running as a coalition. So okay. Oh, actually, I forgot to explain a very important thing about the uh, elections. So you go to your voting booth, you vote for a party. You can also circle names. So basically, every party gives a list of names of usual at the most 150 names, and they are basically if they get elected, the party gets elected from top, and they get let's say 10 seats from top. First 10 people will get in. One difference is that you can also circle people while you're voting, and that basically is like a preferential vote. So if you like someone on, let's say, can you please pronounce names in Slovak once? So this is Progresívne Slovensko or Progressive Slovakia. The leader of the party is Michal Šimečka. I cannot translate his name, so it's Michal Šimečka. Um, so you can circle names. It's basically a preferential vote, and then you can, let's say the party gave 10 names, but someone from number 35 got a lot of preferential votes, and it pulled him up to let's say number 9. So we actually got in despite the party having him lower. So this is how you can get uh, some lesser known names into parliament. I think it's a pretty nice way. I actually did circle someone from the place 150, so I'm wondering if he'll get in. We'll see. And yeah, also there is a election threshold. So to get into parliament, you need at least 5% of the votes. So here we can see a couple of parties who have less than 5%, and that means those laws will basically not be counted. Or like are counted but are basically disregarded when you form the parliament, when the people to the parliament are picked. So the reason why I'm talking about it is when we are talking about Progressive Slovakia, last time they ran as a coalition with Spolu, which means together. Uh, and if you are running as a coalition of two parties, you actually need 7% instead of 5. And if it's a coalition of, I think, 5 or like 4 and more or 5 and more, you need 10%. The reason why I'm telling this is last time they got 6.97%. So they didn't get into parliament because you need 7%. So they didn't get into parliament by, I think, 800 votes or something like that, which was pretty crazy, especially because, as you can imagine, Progressive Slovakia is a very progressive kind of, they have a very progressive base, they're a progressive party. So that resulted in a lot of votes being lost, which created one of the strongest like conservative parliaments we ever had. Uh, Something about their policies. Uh, while progressive might seem as a very bad thing in especially America, here it's still you have to imagine we are a country that is very conservative. So progressive here for them just means not even legalizing gay marriage, but legalizing uh, what they call life partnerships. So they don't even want to call it marriage. They are okay with just basically allowing gay people to marry, which is still a huge deal here. And even if, let's say, they win, it's still hard to say if they could actually get it into law. Uh, you could say backward, someone is saying in chat.
Wow, yeah.
Important thing to also. So the reason why they have to call it life partnerships is marriage between man and a woman is in Slovak constitution. So it's defined in the constitution that marriage is just between a man and a woman. So that's why it's still a huge deal here. But even some people call them leftist. But if you actually look at their program, they want to support small and medium business. They are not uh, for some sort of over-regulated of the economy. They are very much pro business. They are pro liberty. They are, for example, for decriminalization of marijuana. The reason why that's also an issue is uh, Slovakia is very tough on marijuana. So if you are even caught with like a joint, you might get at least like 8 years in prison. So it's a pretty it's Slovakia is very big against drugs. Uh, I actually realized that I'm talking about elections without like reason even why even without talking about like the biggest problems in Slovakia right now. So one thing we have a problem with is, sorry if you already said, but how much of oh, so I think I have that it should be somewhere. Uh, let's see if I can quickly find it.
Do you think the right, just like in American politics, the right always kind of is a little bit behind the left, like they're just kind of follow them. So the
No.
things with like drugs and it's not, it doesn't go that way in
Uh,
Slovakia.
in Slovakia, left and right doesn't mean much.
Yeah,
The difference is especially because the left is conservative, so the right is like liberal slash progressive.
right,
So
right.
it's very different. I'm trying to find
Yeah, percentage of
yeah,
voters
I believe it's
participates.
yeah, I think last election it was like it was one of the biggest in couple of elections. It was like 75%. Before that, I think it was like 58 or something. So it's usually just above 50. The first elections we ever had was like 80 to 90. But yeah, I'd say about 60, 70. I think we might expect even the 70 right now. Uh, Everyone is talking about it. It's a huge. Oh, I have it here. So last time it was 65. Before that, 60. Then again 60, 60, 55. In 2002 when I was born, it was 70. Before that, 84. Um, so the biggest issues in Slovakia right now depends who you talk to, but almost everyone can agree on it's uh, uh, finances. If Slovakia doesn't handle its finances with we have like deficit of I think 7%, like a budget deficit. Uh, there was a even during COVID or before that there was a lot of spending, so debt to GDP is like 70%. It's really bad because Slovakia cannot really afford what America is doing. America can pretty much spend whatever it wants because everyone wants a dollar, so they are kind of shielded from that, but Slovakia isn't. And basically, a lot of people are agreeing that if Slovakia doesn't fix its finances within 2 years, we will basically become Greece. Greece had a big problem in I think it was like 2010 when they had uh have you heard about it? You know
Yeah,
the
there's a big crash.
yeah, the Greek financial crash.
Yeah.
Slovakia is headed this way right now if we don't change it.
Mm.
uh, well, you are in the EU. Still, Greece was in the EU, so it will still be a problem if we don't manage to fix it. So they are also running on the fact that they wanna uh, fix this deficit. One way they are talking about it is make the, let's say, the social help, the social programs the government is doing, make them less broad and specify them to people who actually need it. So like that's the way they want to save a little bit. They are against raising taxes. Have you got much foreign investment? Uh, Slovakia does have a lot of foreign investment. I know, for example, we have the U.S. Steel here. I think we are one of the two countries that has it. We There is actually Volvo is coming here to do their own thing. It's actually not very far away from me, which and they're expected to have like 20,000 positions, which is crazy. So Slovakia isn't it can still recover. It but it needs a good leadership. It needs someone who can actually. The deficit is one of the biggest problem, and even when you ask Slovaks, I think there were a couple of polls made about what they think is the biggest problem is the public finances. The second biggest problem is healthcare. Uh, Slovakia doesn't have a nationalized healthcare. It has, um, I don't know what to exactly call it, but yeah, basically you have like you have your public insurance. You can also get private insurance. Some hospitals are private, some hospitals are public. But the biggest problem right now is we don't have enough personnel and we have too many hospitals. Your toothpaste is made in Slovakia. Well, I wouldn't use it, but that's you do you.
Did
Uh,
you say there's sentiment against like welfare, like people wanting to tighten up leaking money?
well, it's more like they have to.
Mm.
It's a big problem. So a lot of voter base is currently retired people who obviously don't want to cut any social spending in that way. Uh, but Slovakia needs to, like I said, 7% government deficit even right now. That there needs to be something done. And it's always
Right.
a lot of parties are running of on the platform of, oh, these people they want to take away money from the old, yada yada yada. Uh, but something has to be done.
Yeah.
Like uh, even the leftist parties in Slovakia are talking about some uh, um, cuts or some way to consolidate finances because you just need it. There is no way you can like there's no way you can like I said we are on a track to become a next Greece. There someone
Yeah.
needs to do something. And of course a lot of parties have a different way of how they want to achieve it. And yeah, I was talking about healthcare. So the problem here right now is a lot of young people are they study here and then they go away. So we don't have enough young people in healthcare. I think in one field, I think it was like pediatrics or something like that. 50% of the doctors are in retired age, so like they are about to retire, or they are supposed to be retired, but they are still working, and that's 50%. So there was a big problem. Also, they were threatening they will all just retire if something is not being done, that will not be done. Uh, so that's finances, healthcare. There was also a big issue with migrants because basically a lot of people were coming from a lot of immigrants who say they are from Syria are coming here because they want to get to Germany, but it's a problem with like passing them. So in south of Slovakia, just to maybe I should pull out the map.
Map time.
Map time. Actually, Europe map might be
It's the
better.
map.
Actually,
It's
can
the map. It's the
Europe.
map.
Okay, let me just get Google Maps.
Ooh, that's colorful.
Google Maps. Okay, here we are. I think it started zoomed in on where I live. That's annoying. I just got doxed. So the big
I
problem.
saw it. I screenshotted it.
So Slovakia is in the European Union. It's in the Schengen area. So basically, if you there are no borders between the countries within the Schengen area. So if you get to Hungary, for example, you can get anywhere. And that's actually has been a problem because people were coming from Serbia through Hungarian border, who they say they cannot guard the border, and people are just coming through. Then they are going to Slovakia and they want to get to Germany, but it's a pretty big problem where they get stuck in Slovakia. There's a lot of to say about it, but it's been a bit of an issue. It only this became an issue only like a couple of weeks ago, I think. So a lot of people are saying, uh, okay, this is more like conspiracy theories. But some people are saying this is like manufactured and things like that for the election. We might talk about it a little bit more when we talk about the individual parties. So healthcare, finances, maybe migration, that has been a biggest problem. A lot of parties are addressing it. We'll talk about who is addressing it the best. Well, no, we cannot talk about who is addressing it the best. We can get, yo, no, we can actually show it. There is one thing I can show, which is technically not me endorsing anyone. Uh, so what have I
Which
finished
we
here?
which we certainly are not doing and have no
Yes.
intention of doing.
So Progressive Slovakia, also their biggest motto is future. They want to bring a better future for Slovakia. Maybe one more thing to mention is the current president of Slovakia, Zuzana Čaputová, has originally been a member of the Progressive Slovakia. She left the party when she became a president. Um, I can't remember what the exact reasoning is, but if I had to guess, it was probably she didn't want to be like a president of one specific party, but be a president of all people in Slovakia. We'll actually have a presidential election next year. She decided to not rerun for election, uh, but we are not here to talk about the presidential election, but the parliamentary elections. Do you have any question about Progressive Slovakia or like general questions about the party? I'm thinking if I have missed out anything.
Hopefully someone in chat does. This is incredible. I feel like you're explaining it very well, but I don't know what questions a smart person would ask. So hopefully there are
Okay, we have a
questions in
yeah.
chat.
So my English is very good. Is it? So yeah, it's taught in classes from third grade. You're learning. Oh, they might have changed it even earlier now. But when I started, it was third grade, and yeah, it's learned all throughout. So primary school, high school, even in university. I had it as a class in university also. I think it was even required for me to for my specific degree that you had to take English. And
Is
also,
that it's considered English is like the still the universal language, like the most best language for you to learn?
so when you're in Slovak school, you learn three languages usually. You learn, of course, Slovak. You learn, so you have Slovak as a subject, English as a subject, and also a third language as a subject. It's usually German or Russian. Sometimes in
Mm.
some specific schools, I think it's like Spanish and French, but it's usually German or Russian. I took German.
When I
Uh,
was in school, several thousand years ago, it was like kind of rumored that Chinese was going to be like the biggest language coming up. But did they ever talk about that in Slovakia? Is that any kind
no.
of sentiment? Really? Maybe it was just an American
So
fear kind of thing.
Eh, one interesting thing in Slovakia is we actually get a lot of Vietnamese migrants, um, and set up like they set up shops. I had at least one Vietnamese classmate I remember in my um, when I was in primary school. Uh, so maybe Vietnamese at some point. Holy moly, Russian. I'm not sure if they changed it. Well, Slovakian education is behind a lot, so they probably haven't even changed it. But you have to remember Slovakia is basically in Eastern Europe. Slovakia was one of the countries in the Eastern Bloc, and it just has a lot of ties to Russia. We'll talk about the parties who have a ties to Russia soon. Um, so yeah, I think if anyone has a so just to sum up something about progressive Slovakia, they are more like progressive maybe in like early 20th century or something like that. They are business friendly. They are of course social liberal, so they want to legalize partnerships um, between gay people. They want to decriminalize marijuana. Those are like the big things. But I also want to make reasonable reforms to healthcare. We uh, can actually show this. So this is the Institute of Economic and Social Studies, and they actually do. Oh wait, they actually do. They rate the programs of specific parties. So we can find Progressive Slovakia is actually the second one here. If I can pull up more, so we have them ready. So this is for healthcare. This is for schools. Uh, so we have Progressive Slovakia as the second in healthcare and as third in schools. And oh, this one is old. Uh, okay. Is there anything more? It seems that a lot of people in Slovakia are interested or active in politics. Are politics a big part of the culture? I think it's probably similar to America when you have the family gatherings and you always have people arguing over politics. Uh, it has become it, I like when people the one quote I like to I guess quote is you might not be interested in politics, but politics is very interested in you. And especially after the murder of the journalist, a huge protests were made, a huge change was done. Even when the new government was elected, they actually did make, despite how the government collapsed, they did actually make a lot of great changes the to the what you call it uh, the judiciary and basically the judicial system and the way prosecution works. Um, okay, if anyone has any question about Progressive Slovakia, bring them on, and if not, we'll move on to the next party, which should be, are they the biggest parties? Uh, Let me bring up the, so this is the last poll. That was the most recent poll, but that was made 3 days ago. So they haven't been the biggest party. They are a pretty new party. They are, I think, relatively strong in the European government, European Parliament, but we're not gonna talk about that. But as of right now, it seems like they are gonna win elections. So we are gonna go through the parties by the percentages they're supposed to get. I mean, this might change a lot. In last election, it also changed a lot. Um, so we'll see. But the next one we'll talk about is Direction Social Democracy, or how they rename themselves, uh, uh, Direction Slovak Social Democracy. When I talked about there was this one party who did a lot of corruption, this is the party. Even right now, they have, I think, more than 20 people on their like candidate list, basically candidates for members of parliament. At least 20 of them, or something like that, are currently under investigation for corruption. So it's a pretty big deal. Uh, Um, okay, how much should I go even to the history? So they are the oldest party in Slovakia, but by meaning of when they entered the politics and how long they have been in politics while like still being here. So I think the first time they ran was in like 2006. Uh, they do look dodgy. In 2006, although I'm not saying you should vote or not vote for them. Uh, So in 2006, they were elected. In 2010, someone else was elected. In 2012, they were elected and they had the majority. It was the only government in Slovak history when one party formed the government. They had, I think, like 80 seats or something like that. They got 43% in elections. So it's I might be even able to pull it up if uh, yeah, okay. I think it was 2012. Yeah, they had 83 seats, so all this red was them. So they were able to form the government just by themselves. In 2016, they lost this majority. They were still able to form a government. Uh, no, let me bring it here. They were still able to form a government. Then in 2018, they had there was the murder of Jan Kuciak and his fiancee Martina Kushnirova, and it was a huge scandal. Okay, I'll talk about that in a little bit in the chat. Um, it was a huge scandal. Basically, the Minister of Interior from their party resigned, the Chief of Police resigned, and even Robert Fico, who is the leader of the party, resigned, and he resigned as a prime minister, and Peter Pellegrini became a prime minister. We'll talk about Peter Pellegrini a little bit later because he actually founded his own party. And someone is asking, how did they get the majority? Did they do anything with it? I haven't followed. I wasn't following the politics back then since it was 2012. But the big reason is we have elections every 4 years, but you could kind of see that we had election in 2010 and 2012. The reason was that the government collapsed. It was a huge fiasco, and I think a lot of people were fed up with that side of like political parties. So I think that's why they strongly voted for this one. Did they do anything with it? Yes, they did actually do a lot. A lot of their members became incredibly rich. That's about the scale of it. But more maybe seriously,
That's what they did. They filled their pockets. Wow.
um, so another reason why they got a big majority is technically they were the only leftist or kind of left-wing party. They have social democracy is in their name at that time, and kind of still there is no one to really offer the social democratic or like more social oriented view of government. Even currently, there's only really one party. So I think that's the biggest reason why they were going. Because if let's say if you're a socialist or socially, uh, like I said, social democrat, they were the only party you could really vote for. There just wasn't anyone else. Uh, but they have a lot of corruption scandals. Isn't it funny how socialists like money? Well, I guess funny story I could bring in, although it's not of someone from this party, but they were in this party, is someone asked them how much is, and like a social democrat, they asked them how much is a carton of milk, and they said like €5 or something, but realistically it's like 80 cents. But you could like see the disconnect of the kind of ordinary people
Oh,
and
that
politicians.
that happened. Was that happened with an American politician recently too? They asked him about cereal. I think it was the last election. That's funny. That's a good litmus test, I guess, for your politician to see if they exist anywhere in the real world.
Yeah, someone is asking, is this basically the political history since 1993? I don't know anyone else. I don't know anyone else, but I like. all the history you want to give. I'm just gonna cover the elections. It will be too much to talk about. All the maybe I'll if if I'm interested in doing it at some point, I'll do like the early elections. But yeah, right now we're just gonna talk about the parties currently running. Uh, okay, something about their like views. Like I said, social democracy, so they're mostly for building welfare state. Uh, the biggest problem is you can say what they really stand for because they don't really have a program. I mean, if we look at like uh oh they are here technically. Um so if we look at their programs in in schools, they are like the last one with like just 1 point. In healthcare, they're also on the last spots. But the biggest problem with them and the program is they don't really have one, so it's hard to even, like I said, say what they are exactly for. Uh, but like I said, kind of the social democratic uh, views, but they actually started shifting in one way. They became in even with Russian-Ukrainian war, they became a bit more pro-Russian. So, for example, they are against sending weapons to Ukraine. The justification being if you send them arms, the war will just take longer. Uh, and also the leader of the party, Robert Fico, or chairman of the party, I guess, Robert Fico has become increasingly friendly with Viktor Orban, the prime minister of Hungary. Uh, if you just a brief overview of the of Viktor Orban, he's also very pro-Russian, very even in this case, I guess, anti-Ukraine, very autocratic. He actually changed the way the Hungarian elections work, so he could gain, so he could more easily retain his power. Uh, so yeah, definitely not something very nice. Um, what could I tell you more about them? I think that's basically the general idea. So, like I said, they seem to have social democratic policies, but they're also really very conservative. Surprisingly enough, they are against the life partnerships we talked about. They are against gay marriage. They are against even decriminalizing marijuana. Um, uh, and they are very
This is
like, yeah,
this is the Social Democracy Party? Hmm.
yes, it's a
Well, then what are
direction.
they for?
Uh, that's a good question. Like I said, welfare state mostly. It's the only kind of, yeah, basically like, helping the working class, like fighting for the working class is kind of the thing you could hear them. So they have a lot of like former commun. You have to remember for a long time, former communists during the Czechoslovakia, the communist Czechoslovakia, a lot of them were in government. Robert Fico was one of them. He was in the Communist Party of Slovakia.
That's
So
so interesting to hear the difference to me, because like for here, like socialists, at least here, like in America, like typically are for what they might call like personal freedoms. So like, sexual lifestyle and like drug use. Most like left, what they call the left leaning or socialists are like for that kind of stuff. They don't care.
yeah, so the
This feels like weird to me.
so another important thing, direction social democracy. It's a very populist party, and they very much their voter base is old people. So that's where a lot of their views come from. They appeal to their base. So that's why they're conservative. Um, do people in Slovakia care that much about the gays and drugs? You would be surprised, not in yes, in the way that uh, they don't want them, either of them. There's a still big one of the people we'll talk about even said uh, LGBT and corruption are the same uh, plague to the world. Basically, they are equal in the terms of how they hurt the world. Abortion, surprisingly, abortion isn't that much of a big deal. Uh, like in last government, there were like two sides. Like within government, you had like infighting on it, but not that much. No one really wants to make them tougher or easier. So it's not really something people talk about, surprisingly enough. Um, Although, well, there was one big issue, is basically abortion pill is not legal in Slovakia currently, and that was somewhat of an issue. There are parties who want to legalize it, and there are of course parties who are against it. Mm, okay, I think we can move on to next party. What do you think, Chandler?
Yeah, I got a good picture of these guys now.
We have to really be faster. We still have like 10 parties to do, and we are also at 10.
It's
Jesus.
been an hour.
Okay, next party, Voice, Social Democracy. So if you didn't like the first brand of social democracy, uh, I'll bring you a much nicer one, maybe. At least with a nicer looking guy. I mentioned a little bit earlier Peter Pellegrini. He was the prime minister, and he left the party. He took a lot of members with him, and he founded his own party, Voice Social Democracy. While they do share a lot of the core social democratic values that direction social democracy holds, one big difference is they are pro-Western and they are anti-Russian, they are anti-Viktor Orban. So they seem like they want to reform or like make social democracy great again, or make Slovak social democracy great again. Um, Even in the if we check the scores, they seem to have a better program than Direction. Uh, you know, double the points in healthcare, uh, and even a bit better in schools. So they definitely do have a bit better program. Uh, they are not as they are also not conservative. They like Voices. They are less populist. I risk, or maybe I should mention. No, I'm not gonna mention it. Uh, but yeah, they at least seem like a better alternative for your social democratic voter who doesn't like corruption. It's important to say that a lot of members in Voice Social Democracy are also under investigation for corruption, so it's not like they took the good guys from there. Uh, it's not like they took the good guys from there. They took a lot of bad guys from there. Um, Also, when we talk about the life partnerships, I believe they were somewhat neutral on it. So if they get into government, you might get it through or even buy them, since they are somewhat receptive towards it. They seem, like I said, more reformist. And even in the case of marijuana, they also seem more responsive there. So, um, what else about them? Well, big thing is also, um, yeah, like I said, nationalizing. So they have a couple of good mottos. One thing they use is like the Peter Pellegrini one line he uses a lot is we got enough slabs from the invisible hand of the market, which is a pretty funny thing to say. So he's like for nationalizing uh or at least, well, not, I shouldn't say socializing. He's very much for state bringing in a lot of power to basically solve issues. So he's very much for state intervention. He seems to talk about it much more than, for example, uh, direction social democracy. Uh, okay,
Wow, we've had enough slaps from the invisible hand of the market. Man,
that's a
if
good
I was
line though.
inclined towards that kind of political leaning, that would be like the most fire statement.
Yeah.
That is pretty good.
Um, okay, let's talk about ordinary people. Just to let me see if I can bring the full name of them, just so I can read it out to you. Uh, let's see. Can I bring up the full name? I know it's
Yeah, enough with
some.
freedom. Gotta chain those hands.
Uh, okay, let's talk about the ordinary people and independent personalities. Ordinary people and friends. Independent candidates Nova, Free and Responsible, Pachivale Roma, Magyar Szívek, and Christian Union and For People. This is a coalition. Uh, so that's actually the name of the party. But in this election they are running as a coalition. So it's ordinary people. This is the main party. There's Christian Union. That's the second party, and there's the Four People. That's the third party. And they are running as a coalition. So as I said, they need 7% instead of 5 to be able to get into parliament. They were the ruling party in 2020. They were the one who got the 25%. The biggest thing they ran on was anti-corruption, and as I said, they achieved a lot of great things. Uh, but the biggest problem with them is the ordinary people brand. Their motto is like bringing ordinary people to politics. The problem with that in the past was they brought a lot of neo-fascists, you could say, or hardcore Christians into government through their party, and then they left the party and they joined some other parties, but they brought up their name to some sort of fame. So, and as I said, what is this? Oh, politician, just like us. Uh, Okay, to talk about their program, they have none, so there's that much. Uh, but as I said, they are they are a broad coalition, a lot of different parties, different interests. So you cannot really say what they stand for. Uh, but they came out against Progressive Slovakia strongly. Uh, the biggest thing they are running on right now is they want to give 50 euros to every voter, and they actually said this is their um, if someone wants to form a government with them, this is their requirement. So they said either everyone will get 500 euros for being able to for voting, or they will not go into the government. Uh, and generally, some more broader issues. They're similarly very like socially oriented. They um, wanna help retired people, wanna what do you call it? What do you call it after you retire? What do you call that money you're getting from government?
Uh, I don't know. Are you referring to Social Security?
Yeah, Social Security. So they wanna like
Yeah,
raise Social Security. They did raise like the Social Security you're getting back. Um,
I
but like I
see.
said, they have no like even if you check the scores, they have no program, so you cannot even rate how good they are. Uh,
Plus, plus half the doctors are all about to die. Where like all the like we don't have enough people incoming to bring in the revenue that they need. Unless, hey, I guess unless the what factory was it? The Volvo factory?
yeah,
That'll create a lot of jobs. So,
that will create a lot of jobs. We'll talk about who brought them here in a bit. Um, Although now we have 10 p.m., so I'm wondering if I actually will get any things right now, because the moratorium is technically for another 45 minutes. Uh,
and
uh,
then you get the real opinions
Jesus, it's
from
I think it's
Daniel.
lagging so hard because like everyone is checking right now, especially now. I think no. Yeah, there's probably still moratorium. Um, there are also very conservative party. So when I said in 2020 that there was like the huge conservative government, they were the biggest reasons why. Um, let's talk a little bit about the other parties in the coalition. Christian Union, again, very like heavy Christians, very strong Christian values. Um, so they are, for example, one of the parties who want to toughen the, or not even toughen the abortion, but make it more bureaucratic to kind of somewhat killed women into having the babies. And Four People, which is another party in the in the coalition, it was originally founded by Andrei Kiska, which was the previous president. He almost immediately uh, ran away, left the party, and Veronika Remishova replaced him. Um, they are mostly a catch-all party. No, again, uh, no real opinions. Mostly just kind of trying to unite everyone. That was also what they founded on their party in 2020, or maybe before 2020, but for 2020 elections. Um, oh yeah, and the leader of this party is, if I can remember now, uh, what's his name? Jesus. Okay, I guess I'll have to Google it. Completely fell through. Oh, Matovic, Igor Matovic. He's definitely someone. He's been in politics for a long time. He actually split off from the next party we'll talk about, Freedom and Solidarity. He originally was for that party. He split off and founded his Ordinary People. He was huge in opposition. He was bringing out a lot of corruption cases against the government. Um, so, like I said, he has done a lot of good, even in government, but he definitely wasn't ready or good enough as a prime minister. He lacked uh, the kind of abilities you need to have to be a prime minister. Mostly be able to talk to everyone and really uh, getting some compromise on what the government is gonna do. Since, as I said, it's the government is never formed by one party, except of one case. It's a coalition of a lot of parties who have to agree on what they are going to do. If there is no agreement, the government will fall, and we saw that a lot. So next party, Freedom and Solidarity. Uh,
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Founded in I can't I think it was founded for the 2008 well 2010 elections. So I think it was founded in 2008 maybe something like that. Uh, the biggest thing
Is
that
that like a MAGA guy in the cartoon
what?
in the
Oh,
top right? Is that like a MAGA hat guy?
no. It says I'm gonna take my party back.
I see.
Um, so a couple things about the freedom and solidarity. It's in their name. They're very much for freedom. So therefore, decriminalizing marijuana. They are for, um, as I said, legalizing the life partnerships, so gay people can marry. Uh, they almost in every election they have been voted as they have as having the best program, and even here we can see they got the 100 in healthcare, and they got 7 in schools. Um, they were also part of the last government in 2020. They were actually the reason why Igor Matovic, the leader of Ordinary People, was forced to step down, and they were also somewhat of a cause of the whole government collapsing. Uh, so the chairman of their party, Richard Sulik, has also received the nickname of the destroyer of governments since he was in government 3 times, and each time the government didn't get to next elections because it broke down. Um, what else about them? Oh yeah, and Richard Sulik, he's the guy who brought down Volvo, as we talked about. He also discussed with other parties and made them sign basically a declaration that they will not interfere in any way with Volvo's thing, so they will not like try to tax them excessively or regulate them somewhat. Uh, and that was the reason why Volvo actually came in because they got a guarantee that no one in Slovak politics will try to interfere with what they do. Um, what anything else about them? I guess I should always like make some general stuff. So they're the biggest. So they're definitely, for example, not raising taxes, but they wanna fix the government deficit definitely, and they have a unique way of doing it. Let's say. They are against raising taxes, so this is not a way for them. They are against cutting any social benefits, any social welfare, so this is also not a way. Uh, the way they want to fix the economy or the public finances is economic growth. Basically, they said the only way to kind of fix the debt is increase the GDP so the debt becomes less important in comparison to the GDP. The way they want to do this is getting rid of a lot of regulation. There is this. Does the Freedom Party seem need? Uh, they are. I don't think they are for any new government programs. Like I said, they are mostly for getting rid of things. They also proposed um, a rule of two in, one out, which is basically if you want to introduce a new regulation, you have to get rid of two other regulations. Um, they also have this thing called a kilogram, which is basically like, and they already passed two of them. A kilogram is basically for them, it's 100 things that will make like, um, that will just make easier to, what's the word? Uh, about to operate a business. So it's a lot of like small things. Like I think one was like legalizing selling ice cream in ice cream trucks, or like removing this rule that you cannot sell ice cream in ice cream trucks. So a lot of it is like these really small issues, these really things that really shouldn't even be in law, but just got there somehow and need to be get rid of. And they definitely want to bring in a lot of like get rid of, make a lot of small adjustments that doesn't cost the government anything and that they are easy to implement. Another thing they are for is uh, flat tax. Richard Sulik is actually the originator of the first of the Slovak flat tax we had in early 2000s. Then there was a progressive tax implemented, and he wants to bring the flat tax back. Uh, okay, anything else about them? What do you think, Chandler?
Sounds like so Sloboda, that's freedom in
Sloboda, yeah.
Slovakian. Sloboda. Sounds like they actually give some seriousness to that title in their name. Um, as far as their strategy for like removing debt instead of cutting spending, just bring in more GDP. I gotta admit that's kind of how I do my own like financial situation. So yeah, I guess I kind of understand that. Instead of budgeting and deciding to like cook groceries for the week, I'll just work harder and try to make more money so that I don't lose, I don't end up in poverty.
Well,
I'll choose just to work harder rather than budget.
it's more like cutting welfare is very unpopular since a lot of water base is old people. Uh, and
Yeah.
as I said, they are against raising taxes. Um, So they saw like economic growth is the only way you can really get out of this problem. Because like I said, it's not like you can only cut a little bit of spending to get it under control. The government
Yeah,
deficit is literally
yeah, exactly.
billions.
Huh.
And you cannot just find them under a table. Um,
So far, this sounds like the most of the freedoms of the freedom
it's
people. I don't know.
if your concept, I'm just trying to not give like,
Hypothetically,
yeah,
yes, yeah.
yeah.
We're
If you are
siding with
like a
anyone.
capitalist-oriented person, freedom and solidarity seem like your best bet.
Right.
Um, Next party, Christian Democratic Movement. Uh, Funny enough, oh, this is, oh, uh, okay, much better. Uh, Wait, no, even this is bad. Whatever, we'll just bring that logo. Um, so funny thing, chairman of Christian Democratic Movement in last elections has actually left or was forced out of the party, and right now he is in the Freedom and Solidarity Party on the number 150. So he's the last one. Uh, okay, let me see if by any chance. Okay, now we have the percentages here. It hasn't started, but we should be able to see it in half an hour, which seems about right. Christian Democratic Movement chairman is, will I remember it, Milan Majerski. Um, he was the one who said that the LGBT and corruption is the same plague to the world. Uh, so it's a bit surprising statement, and he actually lost a bit of votes over it, or at least in the polls. Uh, it's a paper ballot. Uh, Someone is asking about the vote. It's a paper ballot. I actually did vote today, so it was my first election that I voted in. The surprising thing about the Christian Democratic Movement is if you ask their voters what their second choice is, for 25% of Christian Democrats, the second choice is progressive Slovakia, which would be really surprising. You have this like very conservative and very progressive um, parties. One of the reasons is both of them are very much for, uh, let's say, reforming the way courts work, legal courts work, because that has been a big problem. As I said, also freedom and solidarity and ordinary people are for that, to some extent, even voice. Um, So they are trying to kind of find, they didn't get into government in last elections or even to the parliament next elections. They're kind of trying to find their way since a lot of really conservative or Christian people are voting for some other parties and a bit more, uh, let's say, progressive Christians are more for, let's say, parties like Freedom and Solidarity um, um, or even Progressive Slovakia. So they're kind of trying to find their voter base, but they are a bit struggling since they don't really have a strong call. Someone is asking, are the Kurds there too leftist, too lefty? Not more like corrupted. I They don't really have a leaning. Well, they have a leaning towards money, I guess. But I wouldn't say they are. And as I said, there isn't really this like left versus right divide in Slovakia. It's more of, let's say, democratic parties versus kinda social nationalist parties. That's more of a divide, if I had to say. Um, so yeah, they have a pretty good program. You can see in healthcare. In this one they're actually only 47, which is surprising a bit. Um, but they have a pretty good like school. So they have a, I think they have the longest program, a pretty strong program from what I read a little bit. Uh, but like I said, they still they at core they are Christian, but they are very pro-business. They're pro-Western. I shouldn't even say that about all parties. So uh, freedom, ordinary people are also pro-Western. Pro-Western meaning kind of pro-Western democracies and pro-EU. Freedom and Solidarity is pro-Western, but they are Eurosceptic. They have a problem with certain uh, over imposing of European Union, and Christian Democrats are also pro-Western. Uh, as I said, they are anti, let's say, is the underlying corruption legacy of the Soviet times? No, it's a new kind of corruption we got. There was a, if I can say a little bit, there was a bit of corruption, well, actually a lot of corruption during the privatization, since a lot of state companies didn't really go to like a free market, they were given to, let's say, oligarchs. There was also a big problem in Russia, and well, still is. Uh, it's a bit better now, but there are still some problems. Um, Anything else about the Christian Democrats? What do you think, Chandler?
Yeah, I'm not too excited about him.
Uh, so maybe to bring you back in, like I said, they have a pretty good program. Um, that statement against that anti-LGBT statement came as a bit of a surprise, since the party doesn't seem to go that strongly against LGBT, or like I said, a lot of voters of Christian Democratic Movement were taken aback by that statement. So a lot of even the Christians vote for them are not as anti-LGBT as you would expect Christians to be, especially in a conservative country like Slovakia.
Mm.
How does Freedom and Solidarity feel about EU? As I said, they generally like it. They like the idea of freedom of freedom of movement of goods, and all that. They have issues, like I said, with the kind of over regular regulational nature of the EU. Uh, European Union over imposing on certain countries. So, like I said, they are Eurosceptic. They're for EU, but they want to see either some reform or uh, they're not fully into it, as you would see with, let's say, progressive Slovakia, who are a bit more EU friendly.
Eurosceptic is just a cool term. I just
Yep.
like it.
And let's talk about the SNS, the Slovak. Wait, what is it? Oh, Slovak National Party. Uh, which is actually the oldest party in Slovakia. It was founded, I think, in 19th century. Of course, it wasn't. It was forbidden uh, in certain times, but it's here now. The chairman of it is Andrej Danko. Um, um, well, let me bring
What
them
do you
up.
mean it was forbidden in certain times?
Well, I'm talking about the communist era.
Mm.
So here we are, Slovak National Party. Uh, I see a lot of fascist kind of things here, which
Yeah.
is not that far away, but it's still a bit. Um, so they are another party that is very pro-Russian. Andrei Danko was one of the, I think, only politicians who actually appeared in the State Duma in Russia, which is the Russian parliament. There are actual pictures of him even shaking hands with Putin. He's also, like I said, very um, so he's very close to. I haven't talked much about which parties like each other, so I guess we'll talk about it a bit later. But he's a very big fan of Viktor Orban. Uh, as their in Hungary, as their policies are. They're very socially oriented also, so they're for welfare, but they're also very much for state having a bit bigger role. So they are very much for one thing they want to do is even in this deficit they want to take more loans to build infrastructure. Um, when
Mm.
it comes to EU, there's also somewhat anti-EU. Like I said, they are pro-Russian. Uh, just realized that the Slovak flag is based on the Russian one. That's not technically true. The Slovak flag is based on the Slavic tricolor. So white, blue, and red is the are the colors of the Slavs. So that's why you see in Poland you see the white and red. In Czech Republic you see the white, blue, and red. In Serbia you also see white, blue, and red. In Yugoslavia, you saw the white, blue, and red, and that's why it that also Russia uses because it is the flag. But uh, I would not go as far as to say it's based on it. Like I said, it's the Slavic tricolor. Um, what else about them? What have I not mentioned about the? Oh, they are also probably the second biggest one when it comes to like corruption scandals. So there's that. The interesting thing they did right now is actually they managed to unite a lot of smaller national, like nationalist parties in Slovakia and to basically run as one party. They didn't get into parliament last election. It looks like they might get into it now. Um, yeah, uh, that's about. I'm not sure if I can say anything more interesting. If you look at their um, in healthcare, they don't really have any points, and neither in schools. They actually got zero. Um, so they hold the like I said conservative. They wanna like bring back a lot of old things. Uh, Anti-LGBT of course, and oh I think they said they wouldn't mind decriminalizing marijuana, which was a bit surprising. Uh, and bit interesting to see, um, or at least lowering the punishment. I'm not sure if they were exactly against decriminalizing. All right, let's move on to Republic. Uh, I'm
I
wondering.
like that word.
So this is the Fascist Party of Slovakia. It's interesting that you like it. So
The word republic, I don't know.
it's a
Oh wow, is that them? Is it a boy
no,
band?
no, there must be something else.
Dang
Maybe
it, because I'm like, I might vote for them.
uh, let me specify like this. Well, nope, didn't help. Now here we are. Republic.
Ah,
They were what?
way less visually interesting, but let's hear what they have to say.
Um, so uh, Roman Republic was founded when it was split off from the uh People's Party Art Slovakia. Uh, the reason why they split off is the chairman of People's Party Art Slovakia was so one thing to remember about free speech in Europe is it doesn't exist really. So especially if you let's say have a warming views of communism or Nazism, you might be you might go to court and be tagged as extremist. One of the things that it means is if you have a party, it might get disbanded. Uh, if you are a politician, you might not be able to practice politics anymore if you are labeled as an extremist. And the chairman, Marian Kotleba of the People's Party Art Slovakia, was uh, decided by court as extremist, and because of that, he had to step down as the chairman of the party. And this guy, this guy, Milan Uhrik, used that to basically split off, take a lot of people with him, a lot of core members of that party, People's Party of Slovakia, to found his own party, which we called Movement Republic. Um, they are very anti-EU. They are for having a referendum on if Slovakia should leave NATO. Um, they are for nationalizing energy industry. Funny thing about Slovakia is most energy comes from nuclear. So 50, I think it's like 55% of Slovak energy comes from nuclear. Uh, uh, these guys wants to nationalize it. They are uh, anti-LGBT. Um, they are against like decriminalizing drugs. So a lot of people refer to them as a fascist. They have a lot of views that lean that way. They're very much for bringing government in to step in to regulate prices. A big problem in Slovakia was the inflation and the groceries prices. So they are definitely for uh, regulating them, controlling them, uh, and all that stuff. They are definitely also socially oriented, so they want to uh, they say they want to help the working class or the retired people and so on. Anything you'd like to learn about? They have a pretty good merch, or I don't mean pretty good, but they are the only party I could find that like has official merch, which was I would be glad to have some of other parties maybe. Although I'm not saying I'm voting for them or not voting for them.
Of course not. No. Oh man, all I gotta say is nationalize nuclear energy sounds like a three-word horror story. So, um, yikes.
Um, one thing, they have a pretty aggressive campaign. They actually used AI voices to sound like chairmen of other parties to basically endorse them. Um, in the ad, in the video itself, they say the voices are fictional, but it's very much like you could hear there are like the members of other parties. Um, so like I said, very aggressive campaign. Sounds like France. Yes, France has like 65 to 70 or something like that, and yes, Slovakia has 53. Um, um, I guess important to remember, we are also building another nuclear power plant, and they are actually technically controlled by government. They are, I think, like 51% of the nuclear of that like nuclear plant is owned by government, and the rest is basically sold to a free market. I think right now it's mostly German companies who hold it. Sounds pretty nationalistic. Did Jaron ever speak in Slovakia? Yes, he did speak in Slovakia. I think it was about a year ago or something like that. He came to Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia, and he spoke there. I didn't go there since I live in the east of Slovakia, and public transport is atrocious in Slovakia. So it's really hard to get from the joke I always say is it's easier for me to get to London than to Bratislava, which is actually true.
And at this point, you've seen him plenty of times.
And that
You're a seasoned Euron Brook.
he actually started
I don't
live
know.
streaming at the same time as we did. I just didn't want to mention it so people didn't run away.
Oh, you're a hard competition. I don't know. This is pretty in depth, man. People are missing out if they're not tuned in.
Anything else I can tell you about? Oh yeah, and a couple of their members were also labeled as extremists. One of them, for example, was a singer for a neo-Nazi rock band or maybe punk band or something like that. Uh, the leader of their party, when he was asked about if Holocaust happened, he said, "I'm not a historian. How should I know?" Uh,
Oh
al-
no, I don't
although
know.
although recently they came out as being against Holocaust, so I'm really applauding their progressive views. It's a lot we can see. Um, it's extraordinary how 5 million people can create such a diversity in parties. Are you going to set your own up? Everyone can set up their own parties. That's why we have 25 running right now. Um,
Man, it's kind of interest like exciting. I don't know, but I guess they just don't do that here. Anytime someone tries, it fails. Trump kind of threatened to do something like that, but I think even he knew like it just doesn't work here.
yeah, your system. I like this system. I think it's fun. It's really fun to watch elections because you always have like a lot of parties, all of kinda, and even like the more, let's say, extremist or radical like Republican. The fact that they can get in is kinda interesting, because it means also, let's say, extremes from the other end can get in. Um, but let's continue since we have 15 minutes. And oh, let's talk about Chandler's We Are Family.
Yes,
So,
yes, let's.
We Are Family, named after their chairman, Boris Kolar, who has 13 kids with like 9 wives or 9 women or something like that. The numbers might
Oh
be off,
no.
but it's definitely something crazy like that. Uh,
Wow.
it's this. So one thing I didn't mention really is that uh, technically, Slovak politics have political parties and political movements. Uh, Political parties have a certain structure and usually have certain principles and can go on without their chairman or have a new chairman, while the movements like We Are Family, they usually, if they don't have the chairman, they usually completely get destroyed. Uh, so they are very much kinda, let's say, cult of personalities, but don't as not as strong, kind of like a coalition built around a certain person. Uh, didn't answer. Did you notice? Uh, if I'm gonna set up my own, was that a serious question? I'm not planning to right now. Uh, and I think even if you want to get into politics, it's always much easier to go into a certain party and kind of climb that ladder, that kind of political party ladder, then especially as like a no one to set up your own, since then you can, as a chairman of the party, a lot of times you can change the party depending on what the party is. That's why movements are a bit easier to control as like one person. So
Yeah, it seems like the strategy is rise in a popular party and then break off on your own and take
yes,
people with you.
that's definitely
Good strategy.
at least half of the parties here were creating. Well, let me check. One, two, three. Okay, 3 parties here were created that way out of 8 we covered so far. So we are family. Their biggest thing,
Man, I didn't know it was a literal family. I thought you're going for a
it's just his
metaphorical approach
family.
here.
Uh, uh, their motto right now is "We are normal," uh, and the thing they were running on in 2020 was government apartments. They didn't achieve it, but to be fair, there was COVID. Mafia. So the guy, Boris Kolar, is suspected of having ties to mafia. When there was a reform in the criminal justice system, his party didn't vote for it, and it's suspected that he didn't vote for it because he has ties to mafia, to basically protect his people. Uh, they are conservative. Uh, they are also, like I said, it's kind of family oriented, that very much for helping families in either tax cuts, some sort of welfare, so very like socially welfare oriented, and are also somewhat for government intervention. I know they want to set up a huge system of like government farms, then or like at least somewhat government funded farms, then that going into some sort of government uh, supermarkets or something in that sense to like bring the prices down. Um, Not too much else to say. Like I say, it's very much based around this one guy. Um, there were also the so we all now mention all of them. There were the fourth party in the there was the coalition in the 2020, the the government in 2020. Anything you'd like to hear about your favorite party?
I think they may not be my favorite party, but they're all right. I think they could do better by incorporating some more arts and crafts. But I don't know. I'm getting the sense that this is not one that is taken seriously. But they got like a ton of votes,
Oh yeah,
didn't
yeah.
they? In the
Like I said, they were in government last election. In the election
yeah.
before that, I believe they got into parliament. So they definitely have their core supporters, although they did they're actually on a downward trajectory. And if we check a different, I think if we check focus, they are supposed to get 4%. But right now we are going by ACO. But it might we might see it if they get in or not. It's only 8 minutes, so we should definitely cover. I guess the last party we have to cover. Well, okay, we can cover them. Why not? So Democrats. Um, Democrat. Those are not the Democrats I want, but let's do this one. So, uh, when we were getting close to this election in that we have today, there was this one guy who said, "Wow, uh, we should really make a party so all the democratic parties can unite together and go against uh, basically direction social democrats. We should all unite to go against them." Then another guy came in and said, "Oh wow, we should make one party to unite all the parties and go against him." And then another guy came in and said, "Wow, we should make one party to unite all parties and go against this guy." And now all of them are expected to get under 5% and basically lose all the votes. So that's nice. But here they are. They are called Democrats. They are a split off from the ordinary people. Um, the chairman is Edward Heger. He was the second prime minister during the last government we had after Igor Matovic. Uh, Generally, they are very similar to ordinary people, but one thing I'd say is they are a bit less conservative, and they actually have a program, somewhat okay program. You can see in healthcare they are fourth, and same in schools they are fourth. So they have a somewhat decent program, but it's very likely they will not get into government since they only have 4%. Uh, I guess now we can just run down since we have last 5 minutes. It's pretty good timing. We can also mention these four. So Alliance. Alliance is a coalition of a lot of smaller Hungarian-oriented parties. About I think it's like 8 or 9% of people in Slovakia are Hungarian, like ethnically Hungarian. So they have always had some influence in Slovak politics. Uh, I don't know much about them. The only thing I really know is they are somewhat of a they wanted to unite all Hungarian parties. Then we have the Blue Most Hit. which is a coalition of two parties. Most hit is another Hungarian party that didn't want to go with alliance, and Blue. They were founded as the Blue is meant to be like Blue as Democrats, so they were meant to unite all the Democrats, but they have 1% and they're just gonna lose all the votes for the Democrats. Um, not, I'm not gonna talk about them. The chairman is Mikuláš Dzurinda, who was a prime minister in 2000, in two, well, in 2002 and 2006. Um, sorry, no, 1998 and 2002. Um, and he now founded his own party. And then we have Hungarian Forum, ODS for region, uh, Roma Coalition, and Democratic Party, which is again a coalition of Hungarian slash Romani people slash kinda right wing parties, but again, they are not expecting to get any good. Okay, do you want to? We have now a couple minutes before this starts, and I'm not even sure how much stuff we'll get. What do you think about it so far?
Wow, this has been very educational. Um, I guess do you can't really talk about your predictions yet? We
Three
still have a
minutes,
few
3 minutes.
minutes.
Well, I can talk about
And then
predictions.
and then what happens in 3 minutes? We will just see the results or
We'll
what?
see exit polls
Okay.
because they can finally finish exit polls. But let's say the government ended up like this. Now we can
Yeah.
talk about, let's say, the coalitions. So let's say Progressive Slovakia wins. They said they will not go with direction social democracy, and neither will. So this one cannot be. We need this line. We need 75 seats. Uh, it's very unlikely. We'll talk about voice later. It's very unlikely they'll go with ordinary people because they said ordinary people will not go into government. Are exit polls accurate? Somewhat. Last time they were somewhat accurate, so we'll go by them and we'll see. We'll have two exit polls from two agencies, so we'll be able to compare them a little bit. So ordinary people very unlikely to be in this coalition. Also, Freedom and Solidarity very likely to be natural partner of Progressive Slovakia. Christian Democratic Movement, let's keep them for now. It's not sure. Slovak National Party will never go with Progressive. Republic will never go with Progressives, and We Are Family might not. It's hard to say. So we had this coalition. You have 75 seats. This government is technically possible. The only problem with this is Voice, who split off from the direction social democracy. A lot of people in Voice say if uh, Voice goes into government with Progressive Slovakia, they will leave the party. So basically, once you get elected into government, elected into parliament, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can leave the party you were elected in and join someone else. I mean, I can actually show you if we check the uh, Slovak Parliament 2000 Slovak.
What did I hear that right? There really is no like restriction on that. So what if
So
like
he wait,
90% of the
just
people in
quickly.
the party all switched?
So
Yeah,
here
go.
is how it looked last time. Uh, so you had six parties in the government, and these were the numbers, and this is how it looks right now. So very different. You have a lot of people for one party. Basically, you can just leave your party that you were elected in and join some other party. Whole parties can split off from other parties. There's a lot of stuff you can do. So yeah, once you are in that, well, when was last election? Do you expect major changes? I expect the big changes, and it was in 2020, 24th February. Okay, we have 45. Let's see if we have anything. I mean, we're not gonna get this, but I'm wondering where I could even like quickly find it.
It's not like exactly timed. So it's been like 3.5 years. Is it
Well,
always like
Well, early
Yeah.
elections. You haven't listened. Early elections were
I
called.
haven't been paying attention. Yeah, this is like
You
primaries.
should pay attention.
Yeah. That's a little inside joke, a little objectivist inside joke.
Okay, I think it's gonna be out any second now. Uh, let's see. Exit polls Slovak. Although I'm not sure if it. Wait, this is the Guardian. Um, we'll check in later. What was I talking before I went on this?
I don't know. I'm the great derailer.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're discussing the so yeah, and without the voice, there's no way it will form. It might form without one of these. But it's very unlikely. The other possible way to do it is if the uh, direction social democracy wins, voice is their natural partner. Progressive will never go. Ordinary people will never go. Freedom and solidarity will never go. Christian Democratic Movement, they said they will never go, but it's not that sure. Slovak National Party is a natural partner. And then you could have like this, but it really relies on the fact that the Christian Democratic Movement will join, which is not, they said they won't. You could also fix it with this, but Voice said they will never go will with Republic. Uh, So it's not very clear if we'll even form a government. There are still a couple things hanging in the air, and I would really like to see exit polls.
They're coming in.
Uh, and
Yeah, if this fails, then what?
next
How
another
that lasts
election.
how long?
If no one will be able to form a government, new elections will be called. Looks like we'll see you soon again. How long before they give up? Uh, so basically, when the one who, the party who wins the election. Well, what is this? Oh no. Wait, exit polls? Wait. Oh
I don't know.
shit!
That all looks like gibberish to me.
Oh, this is exit polls.
Uh,
So progressives seem like they are going to win, although we don't have these other parties yet, the names for them. Uh, so how many parties? Wow. So according to this, only 6 parties and maybe even only 5 parties got in. Uh, but I think moratorium is in place still, so they cannot. Wait, no, this is from last year, isn't it? No, this is really? This is crazy. Okay, this is looking really good for me. Like crazily good. But I really want to see what the exact
oh wow.
numbers.
Is the moratorium off, or
Oh
are we going
shit.
to see
Okay,
guys
okay, no,
burst into
here
your
someone
room
says.
with
Here
guns?
someone says. Oh no, this is tip sport. Oh no. God damn. I wanna see it now. Uh, so this was exit poll from Markiza, which is one of the shows. So they can publish like the percentages, but they cannot publish who the parties are. This is looking pretty nice for me. I'm not gonna like, I really like this result so far. I would really like to see like the actual parties who got it. It should be out now. I don't know why it's not. Um, uh, tut, 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 tut. Okay, where did I find that one? Wait, let's keep this just so I don't lose it. Um, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so but the moratorium ended. So okay, everyone should have voted for
Yeah,
freedom and solidarity. They are definitely
clearly,
like
obviously. Yeah.
it's very obvious. I voted for them and I circled four people. Uh, God damn, I need to get my fix of who won. Uh,
Yeah, I feel the tension.
oh, this is it. Okay, this is the exit poll, I think, right?
Very intense.
Yeah. All right, so Progressive won, which is good because I bet on them, so I won like 66. Well, this is exit poll, we have to remember. But 23.5% is a huge
Wow.
lead. This is really good for them. I was hoping they will win. Uh, uh, Direction, they got 22%. That's gonna be something. It's gonna be hard to fight against that, but that was expected. Voice got 12%. It was kind of expected. Um, so this is gonna be really interesting. The good thing about the Progressive Slovakia winning is they'll get the first chance to form a government. So the one who wins the election is basically they'll get the permission from the president to try to form a government. And if they cannot do it, the next party will try to do it. But they get the first pick, which is good. Um, so we have boys at 12%, ordinary people at 8%. Annoying, very annoying. I would really like for them to not be in the government, but 8% is 8%. I'm not sure if they'll get solo. My party, Freedom and Solidarity, got 6.5. Not great, but it's okay. Republic got 6%. That's okay. They were going down, but Christian Democrats got 5.3, and with oh god, this is crazy. Slovak National Party didn't get in, which is great. If Slovak National Party will not get in, direction Social Democracy will not be able to form a government, even if they do whatever they want, which is great. Alliance got 4.3%, which is crazy, but they didn't get in. Democrats got 3% expected. Oh, also important thing, if the party gets at least 3%, they will actually get uh, money from the government for their votes. So this is the way government kind of supports the parties running. Um, I would love to see if we could form. So this is how many seats. So let me bring up this notepad to see if they could form. So progressives, uh, PS would get 42. Direction, or let me do it in English. Direction would get 40. Then voice will get 22. Then who is after voice? Oh, ordinary will get 14. Uh, SIS, which is Freedom and Solidarity, will get 11. Republic will get 11 and Garaha will get 10. So with this, you could have 53. You could form a government with PS, Voice, and SAS, and I think that's pretty much your only choice. You could even do progressives. If you want a government without voice, you could do progressives, ordinary people, SAS, and Christian Democrats. Um, but that's very unlikely. So we'll see.
I like this though. This is like fantasy football, but with Slovakian
Yeah,
politics. You know, picking your best
I'm
team.
really glad if the result is gonna look like this. I'm pretty happy. Um, I'm wondering if they should have started counting now. Maybe we'll get the first results. Uh, Not yet. I'm still counting.
The
Um,
real question is, can the gays get high now? Like Skylar's asking. And
They might be able to soon.
maybe
Uh, let's see if the opposition could form. So Direction and Voice together we have 62. They will not go. They will not go. They will not go. With them 73. They will need to have Christian Democrats who will not. These guys will not be able to form a government.
Fuck 'em.
Fuck. Okay, my throat is sore as fuck.
Who the so the currently in the lead, the socialist one. Can you show me the
What do you
Google
mean the
image of that?
socialist one?
So I mean, progressive, progressive. I don't remember what pictures you showed on Google Images, and if you do that, it'll really
Oh,
refresh my
okay, okay,
memory.
okay.
Which one is the PS?
These guys.
Oh yeah, it's all coming back. Right, right, right. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Um, like really happy. Especially the fact that a lot of wait, okay, let's compare them here. So we had this one. Although we should compare the same agencies. So according to this, one thing I should say is when I was voting, there was such a different feeling when I was voting there. Like before that, I was somewhat deciding between a couple parties, and when I was there, it was like it felt right. Like you had it in your heart, like who to vote for. It was pretty interesting.
Mm.
So progressives went from 16% to like 23, which is a huge jump. Direction went from 18 to 22, also a huge jump. Voice fell a little bit by like 2%, which was expected. Um Ordinary people pretty much stayed the same. Freedom and solidarity went a bit up, which I think it's my doing. Uh,
That
so
was all you, dude.
so pretty good. Republic fell. I think if we waited a little bit more, they would not have gotten into government, which is nice. Christian Democrats fell. That's not surprising. Uh, Slovak National Party. Uh, they actually went. Oh wait. Oh yeah, they went down, so they didn't get in. Freedom and Solidarity went up a little bit. And We Are Family is not even here. They completely fell through. This is
Ah,
insane, and I'm so fucking glad because that guy was so annoying.
kicked
Although,
off the dance floor.
although my brother said he was voting for him, which I was like, could have been worse. That's not too bad. I can somewhat respect it. But yeah, a jerk of a guy, probably connected to mafia. Uh,
Yeah, not your brother, the
yeah.
politician.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The politician, not my brother.
Yeah, I didn't trust him. His face looked shifty. And I didn't want to say it because of the moratorium, but now I can freely speak. Didn't like him, not one
Didn't
little
like him.
bit.
Not one bit. No
I
one
changed
bit.
my mind. Yeah, I was intrigued by the name of the party, but once I started to get to know him through Google Images,
Uh, so
I changed.
yeah. So quickly, Bonnie is asking, are most European countries multi-party like this? As far as I am aware, yes. A bit of a problem with UK elections, I know, is they don't have like national elections. They have local elections, and based on who wins the local elections, they'll send the member of parliament from that area, basically. So similar to how you vote for like senators, I guess. And the problem there is small parties might get a lot of uh, votes in total across the whole nation, but if they get small parts in like all areas, they will not get any representation. So I know in one election in the UK you had like um, for one party it had like 13% of the national vote, but they only got like one member of parliament or something like that. Um, okay. Oh, okay. We have the first results, which are what the fuck is going on here? Uh, okay. uh, So far, I think they started voting in like East or somewhere because these are like crazy results so far, but they only counted 0.3% of votes. Uh, yeah, or the South, especially I see a lot of Hungarians here. Um, so it's gonna take a while. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Should I like go for longer? I'm not sure if there is that much to talk about really. Uh, Unless we check in. Yeah, not too many votes have been voted for.
Got a filibuster.
What's your language, or you lose your conservative audience?
I've been practicing my to be or not to be speech, so that could kill some time.
Why? How come?
Yeah, I just like it. I
Hmm.
just like trying to devote it to memory so that I can just go into it anytime, at a dinner party or something.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Okay. I think let's take like half a minute break, and I'll be right back. Then we'll figure out what to do. We have actually a good amount of viewers, so uh,
Yeah, there's a good way to make them all leave. This is excellent.
oh yeah,
You
yeah,
guys listen to me while
yeah,
Daniel
yeah.
takes a
Okay,
break.
entertain them, entertain them. And
Yeah, I
I'll be
tell
right
you,
back.
man. Yeah, my gosh. What a day it's been. I don't have anything prepared really. Except I do have this long grocery list prepared of these are the kind of things that I need to be getting this week. I've been looking to get some more rice and chicken. I've been making a lot of curry lately. So turns out curry is really easy to make. A delicious dish originating from the Far East. And what an exciting treat it is to make it for yourself. Um, get a little bit of curry powder, get some other spices and peppers and chicken and onions and garlic, and just dice all that up. You got to make sure you get some ginger, though. The ginger really makes a big difference, and I think some spice. So when I cut the peppers up, I leave those seeds in there. That makes that sucker nice and spicy. Is there Slovakian curry? There's really no way we could find out. There's no answer to that question. And people have been asking that for decades, really. As I watch Daniel's viewers drop one by one, I feel nothing but pride. Oh, there is Slovakian curry, according to Google Images, and that's really how I learn about the world.
I'm back.
Oh my God, I was so stressed out. That was the worst 30 seconds of my
What?
life. Whew, thank God you're back. Oh
Four
my God,
people
I can't
left.
do this.
4 people left. Come on,
They
man.
hate me.
And now they're starting to come back.
Slovakian curry does not look too bad though. It looks kind of like a beef stew, I'd say.
uh,
Whichever party endorses curry, I stand for.
so there's a big thing about uh, like before the elections, you like go to all the towns, and you do, and you cook goulash. I think you know what goulash is, right, Chandler?
Yeah, that's what happens in Call of Duty when you die and then you have to
No,
go
no,
fight
no.
someone.
That's gulag,
Oh,
Chandler. That's gulag. This
ah,
is goulash.
shoot.
Uh,
Oh, goulash looks
it's
nice.
like a beef
Yes, I
stew.
do know this.
Uh, and it's a big deal. Like the parties go all over and basically cook this and give it to people so they vote for them. All right, I'm feeling pretty glad. This is looking pretty nice. I'm wondering.
Yeah,
I
so
I
it could
I
have gone worse.
are you complain about burgers in DC and you complain about burger?
This man does, but this
You?
man is the
Me?
the burger. Yeah, you're a
No,
burger
that's the
princess.
place I got the best burger.
Mm-mm. Yeah, this man has high taste, like very high standard for a burger, which
Uh,
one should have. You should have that.
so we can check like a beautiful uh a moderator in Slovakia. Let's see if he's live.
Módne trendy v
Okay. Oh
Deichmane.
Jesus,
V štýle
4 ads? Are you
70. rokov.
crazy? All right, we'll check on him a little bit. I'm just gonna see.
Are these Slovakian commercials right here?
Yes, I muted them.
Free Dammy
I know this
Catwalk.
guy.
Dykeman.
Well, they're most like English. Oh God, English ads
They're
like
like
translated.
redubbed. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think that was a Slovakian lady.
or that
I think that was just
I don't
another
think that
lady.
Arnold Schwarzenegger did it in Slovak either.
I think we just found out that Arnold Schwarzenegger is Slovakian, and
Oh,
this
he's
changes
Romanian.
everything.
Well, is he? Wait, is he? Isn't?
He's Austrian, is he
Oh,
not? I
Austrian.
mean,
Yeah, yeah, Austrian. You're right. You're right.
yeah,
He just sounds like a
but that
Romanian
could just be a
trucker.
A cover. Yeah. The older he gets, the less I believe him. Voyo? What's Voyo in 12?
It's like Netflix, but in Slovakia.
Is 12 like the rating or
Yeah, yeah,
something?
it's
Like
age
age?
rating. Be a man. It's that. Okay.
I
Ďakujem veľmi
see.
pekne. To bol teda Peter
Budschlap.
Pellegrini. My zostávame, tie výsledky sa
Love
budú
it.
ďalej
That's the
prepočítavať a
Peter Pellegrini
predpokladáme,
from
že
Voice.
ďalšie reakcie budeme prinášať. Noc je mladá, takže ideme ďalej.
Určite sa budeme k tomu ešte veľa
Oh, this
vracať.
is like this
Peter
is
Pellegrini
live.
hovorí
Yeah,
síce,
that's the
že bude
beautiful
pokorný,
guy
na druhej strane vôbec
on the
nevylúčil,
right.
že by
Yeah.
si jej pri takomto výsledku vypýtal post
Oh,
premiéra v rámci
He's
tých
a really good
vyjednávaní. Určite
moderator.
budeme o tom veľa hovoriť, ale dôležité je aj, ako to vidí republika.
Áno, ale bolo zaujímavé aj to, že povedal
Yeah, so they're pretty much just yeah going to so you know you have they send out people to all the voting center all the like party centrals uh to like get the feelings, how does everyone feel and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. Uh yeah, but I'm thinking we'll probably cut it here. Uh what do you think,
you have to do a
Cameron?
follow-up. You have to do a follow-up
Yeah,
with the
well,
next
yeah, I guess we could do like a follow-up tomorrow with the actual results. I'll probably let me actually check WhatsApp because I
I'm
posted
gonna
my
be
thing
hanging
there.
with Rozzy and Mark Pellegrino. But
Hell yeah.
if you stream, I'll watch it.
Um, or I could do also like a yeah, I guess okay, this is the reason why everyone should now subscribe and ring the notification bell. I'll
I
I'll
just did.
yeah, because I'll definitely be watching. I'll be listening to everyone. Um, and I think I'll make a community note or like a community post before I go to bed about how it looks right now. And yeah, maybe tomorrow we can do like a session uh, with like the actual results and how it's gonna look, how it might look. Or I might just make a video. I'm thinking because it might not be long enough for a live stream. Uh, And yeah, I'm so far. Why not keep going? The results are coming from now. Yes, but it's gonna take a while. Like it started. They started counting it like 20 minutes ago, and we don't even have 1% still. Uh, I mean, I could keep on going, but I need questions or something because I'm not really sure what to talk about. Cause
Yeah, guys. Ask
yeah.
him some questions. I'm
Uh
just like sitting here. I'm just sitting here on the side.
Yeah, it's 11 p.m. right now. Um, yeah, I would love to talk about something, but it's PS last coalition possible? It's it's hard to say. A lot of people from Voice are former people from Direction, and they said they will not go into government with Progressive Slovakia. What I'm hoping for is that they have that thing, that power hungry thing in them, because as we saw with the exit polls, uh, there is either government with progressive Slovakia with progressive Slovakia in charge, or there is no government. And I think Voice is on a downward trajectory. So if there's gonna be another election, it's likely they'll lose votes. So I'm really hoping they'll kind of be pragmatic and we'll just go into with Progressive Slovakia. As a party, they are not the best partners. Like I said, they are social democrats, but they have a few decent things in them. And if they are also, especially now that the public finances are really bad, they are a bit more um, fiscally conservative, I guess you'd say. Um, so I mean that's uh, if the results are as the exit polls say, the progressive slash voice coalition with a couple more partners is the only government I can see here. But the votes might still be a little bit different, so we'll have to see. What is the issue about migration across parties and on Ukraine? Uh, what do you mean issue? Like their stance on Ukraine of everyone? What is the issue about migration across parties? Like what do they think about migration? So migration is a big deal right now just because we are getting a lot of people uh, originally from somewhere in Middle East. I don't know, I'm not as well versed on this, but basically they are uh, a lot of these migrants are getting stuck on the southern border, and it's becoming a bit of a problem because there's just too many. And the problem is that the Hungarians are letting them in because they are coming from Serbia and then from somewhere else, but Hungarians are not really guarding their border. And the problem is within the Schengen area that, Schengen, all the parties in Schengen, which is basically what allows free movement, are very open with each other. So you cannot really close borders. That's why Schengen is supposed to guard its own border. And a lot of people in Slovakia are saying that Hungary wasn't doing its part guarding the Serbian border. So that's a bit of an issue right now. Oh, we have Šimečka here.
Teda za mňa patrí vďaka každému, kto k tým voľbám išiel. To druhé, čo môžem povedať, je, že zatiaľ nemáme žiadne reálne spočítané výsledky. Máme exit poly, ktoré vyzerajú možno nádejne alebo pozitívne z hľadiska našej strany, ale bol by som veľmi opatrný akokoľvek komentovať výsledky exit polov, lebo možno si mnohí spomínate, že v minulých voľbách exit poly prisúdili našej vtedy koalícii o mnoho väčšiu hodnotu, než sme potom reálne mali. Takže naozaj by som teraz nechcel...
Be a little frustrated.
Oh yeah, and also the sign language. It's fun. Did you know that there are many different sign languages? Like it's not just one universal language. Like there's
Right,
an
yeah, it's unique to every language.
It's like American Sign Language, Slovak Sign Language, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, he was just saying that he's thanking everyone for going to for voting, and that the exit polls, while they look really nice from their part, they said let's not over exaggerate the exit polls since in last exit polls they were in the parliament, and when the actual results came in, they were out. So that's why they are being a bit careful on it. Yeah, I guess we could just
British. Is there British sign language? How is that different? Oh, I guess American has different slang.
Yeah. Communist Party of Slovakia got 0.2%. That's nice.
Yeah, that's comforting.
Yeah, BSL, British Sign Language. Okay, let's refresh again. Nothing. Let's refresh again. Nothing. Jeez, this looks horrible. I'm wondering where like the first vote. Well, it's only like couple thousand votes were counted, it seems. One thing I'm kind of oh yeah, we can actually. Okay, so yeah, there were count. Wow, oh Jesus. Oh no, okay. Yeah, so we see a lot of votes were counted in here in South Slovakia and East, which is very like basically the more east you go, the more conservative slash like social nationalists you get. On the south you have also a lot of the Hungarian minorities, and the west, especially around the capital Bratislava, you have a lot of progressive slash liberal voters, as it is with like every capital.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love that. It's just like California.
Yeah.
Like the bottom quarter is all blue and the rest is red.
What else? Yeah, I think we'll cut it here. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, I'll do,
Cool.
I'll try to do a community post before I go to sleep, and I'll try to see if a video or a live stream is in order for tomorrow. Thank you, Chandler, for joining me for today.
Wow. Thanks for letting me join you and be your Ed McMahon while you were really super smart. I just jumped in every once in a while and said something goofy. But that's what I do, isn't it? Incredible coverage. Thank you. I was very enlightening. And as a total politics newbie, I felt I was in good hands and I learned a lot. So great time and good viewership too. That was
Yeah,
great.
good stuff. All right. Thank you everyone for staying here. Pretty good viewership. I was really surprised and I'm really thankful. Uh, so yeah, community post hopefully coming later and maybe a video or live stream tomorrow. Future is bright, but we'll see how the actual results are. So thank you everyone and bye bye.